Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the severe lack of content recently, but I've just graduated high school and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I'm not sure yet. You know, just trying to figure out this whole life thing. Should have it down by next week. But back in the months January and February, I made a video talking about everything I watched in both of those months, respectively. That's smart people say respectively. But I have not done one of these videos for March, April, and whatever month comes after April. So today I figured let's do a massive recap and talk about everything that I've watched over the past 3 months. Also, when I talk about the movies and TV shows I watched, if you want to leave your thoughts about these movies and shows in the comments, please do. I'd love to hear your thoughts about them. Anyways, enough intro. Let's talk about the first one, The Batman.
Something's in my...
The Batman is the new Matt Reeves reboot of obviously the Batman series. And this new movie really captured the pop culture zeitgeist in a way that I hadn't really seen before. And by that, I mean it made everyone go, Also, let me just say, it is so cool that Nirvana came back together to write this song exclusively for this movie. That was very nice of them to do. For me personally, I wasn't in the category that thought The Batman was this absolute masterpiece, but I did think it was pretty good. I think the cast of this movie is terrific. Robert Pattinson is great. Colin Farrell as Penguin was just such a weird casting, but it was amazing.
What are you showing me? His head. Come on! Open your eyes!
And I personally love the new interpretations of Gordon and Riddler.
Open your eyes!
And I just think it's so funny that they turned Riddler into like a social media influencer, and then he like flooded all of Gotham for his 1,000 subscriber special. Why didn't I do that? I should have done that. The thing I appreciate most about this film is the cinematography, lighting, and color correcting, because this movie just looks beautiful. And that one shot of Batman walking out of the flames as the car is burning behind him, like, you know the shot I'm talking about. The cinematography is just great. So like I said, I'm not in the category that thought it was like the absolute best Batman film, absolute masterpiece, but I am definitely excited for the sequel, and I thought it was a pretty good reboot. Also, I'm filming this now in the summer up in my attic, and oh my gosh, it is hot in here. So if my face starts melting in the middle of filming, now you know why. Turning Red is definitely one of the weirdest Pixar ideas, where they take like a Godzilla monster storyline and combined it with periods and puberty. Godzilla, the hair you're growing down there is completely natural. There's a bee. Leave me alone. Stop. I'm not, you know what, I'm not afraid of you though. I can take him. Oh my gosh, I hate bees so much. He's right there. I don't want to hit him. No! He's flying! No! Ah! I think I got him. I don't see him. Well done, Carter. That was pretty well handled, if I do say so myself. Definitely gained a few man points for that one. While I did actually really enjoy this film, there are a few things that I don't think quite worked. Like, the whole metaphor of puberty and about turning into a panda, I don't think quite makes sense. I am so paranoid right now. Yeah, I get the, like, metaphor for, like, puberty. You're turning into this panda because you can't control it. But then she, like, monetizes off of it and, like, makes money, and she learns to control it. And you can't, like, control puberty. You can't be like, stop growing hair there. If I could control puberty, I'd be like 2 foot taller. But while I do think this movie is pretty good, it's in like the grand scale of Pixar, it's still pretty mid-tier, but I would take a creative and different film like this any day over something like Lightyear. Maybe the movie's gonna be good, but why? The Adam Project is a Netflix film about Ryan Reynolds and time travel. Believe it or not, this is actually not the solo film of Adam from Lab Rats. I thought it was, and I was incredibly disappointed. But hey, the movie's still pretty good. Of course, like any Ryan Reynolds movie, the standout is probably going to be Ryan Reynolds, but I think the real standout is the kid playing the younger version of Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is kind of the same in every movie. He kind of has like this Ryan Reynoldsism, and this kid is like playing the Ryan Reynoldsism next to Ryan Reynolds. And it's pretty funny to watch. Especially because Ryan Reynolds hates this younger version of himself, so seeing them bicker and stuff is just a lot of fun. Also, this movie is directed by Shawn Levy, and I'm a massive Shawn Levy fan. I loved his work in Night of the Museum, Free Guy, his directing in Stranger Things. He did something else too. Oh, The Atom Project. He also directed The Atom Project. I think if I had a critique of this film, sometimes it feels a little bit too Marvel-y. Like, there's a few parts that I was like, you know, maybe you could take this a little more seriously instead of, like, cracking a joke. Overall, though, I actually did have a lot of fun with this movie, and I think by the end of the film, it really pulled on my heartstrings, which I wasn't expecting. However, though, I don't recommend you watch the next movie we're going to talk about, because it's anime! Yep, that's right. Mr. Anime Hater himself saw the Jujitsu Kaisen movie. But wait, before you bully me, let me explain myself. I went to go see this movie because I was going to make a video on it, okay? Only problem is the video that I was trying to make for it was literally cursed, okay? Everything that could have went wrong, went wrong. First off, I shot the entire review out of focus. I know, what's new for the Cardo channel? Am I right? Am I even focused right now? And then, on top of that, I saw this movie with my girlfriend, who then we broke up. So yeah, I didn't have a strong desire to talk about this movie. So if anything, this just proves that anime is cursed, okay? Anime is evil. I'm an even bigger anime hater now, okay? Now I have trauma. I have to go to anime therapy. like any time I hear someone say the word weeb, I'm just like, ah! Yeah, but this movie was very weird, and I had never seen the show before, so I guess that made it funnier. And there's so many, like, weird choices that I don't understand. For instance, every time there's, like, a scary monster in the film, when the monster pops out and it's like, ah, I'm a scary monster, and then it just cuts to a title card, like, in the middle of the scene, and then it cuts back, and it just drains all of the tension from the scene. Like, this is literally how the scenes go. Oh my gosh, a monster! See, that's not scary. It was stupid. Also, I don't even know if I should talk about this part. There's a part where the panda bear character, he starts asking the other guy how he prefers his, like, women's parts to be. Specifically these. Is no one gonna talk about what? Is no one going to acknowledge that the panda liking human women is weird? Are we not going to talk about that? Like, wouldn't it be weird if Po from Kung Fu Panda was like a playboy? Like, I don't want to ask questions I don't want the answers to, but for science, I'd like to know. So then I'm sitting here laughing at the scene because I'm like, this is stupid. And then my friend whispers over, and he's like, no, trust me, if you've seen the show, this is completely normal. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, this is normal if I've seen the show? I'm never watching the show, thank you. Anyways, that's all. That's all. Frick, I lost my pencil. Anyways, that's all. This movie is cursed, okay? Am I saying that, me and my girlfriend broke up because of this movie? Yes. Next movie I watched was the Olivia Rodrigo documentary. Yeah, I know, I'm an 18-year-old man. And see, this was a fun watch because I watched it right after my breakup. So breakup was really fresh on the mind, so it was a fun watch. Yeah, I guess I should go ahead and address the whole girlfriend thing, because I guess eventually people were going to be commenting on my channel like, hey, what happened to her? Where is she? And then I don't want to be like, ha ha ha, well, funny story. So yeah, it's over. I'm not going to talk about this movie too much because I have a video coming about it soon that'll tie into the breakup and stuff. You'll see. It'll all make sense. However, if there's two things I can say about this movie, it's actually like a pretty good documentary about an album, and I kind of wish we had more of these documentaries going through song by song off an album. I feel like it really gives the artist a chance to really explain themselves, which I always enjoy watching that. And also, all of the songs and performances are absolutely awesome. Like seriously, the performances in this documentary are really freaking cool. Also, it's funny because, like, her band is made up of, like, 40-year-old women. And it's so funny to me to think about, like, these 40-year-old women rocking out to this, like, 17-year-old girl's music. I think that's funny. Anyways, let's move on from all of this. Let's jump into the next movie, which was a great movie. I need to shut up. The Lost City is unironically my favorite movie of the year. I think this movie is just an absolute crowd pleaser of a comedy. The whole theater was just dying laughing. I loved the chemistry between the two leads. I thought the jokes were great. The story, like, while being predictable, I think is so elevated by just the quality of the jokes and some of the surprises. And, of course, the chemistry. I think this movie is actually great. And out of all of the movies that I've seen in 2022 that actually came out this year, this is the one that I recommend the most because it's just a fun time. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a little while, you know that I had a really traumatic experience with Channing Tatum's last film, Dog, card right there. I highly recommend that video. I think it's one of my funniest. But I made a lot of jokes about being disturbed by what Channing Tatum did in this film. And then flash forward to The Lost City, and he just shows his full-on butt cheeks in the movie. Full-on cheeks everywhere. Like the shot is even like 50-50 between Sandra Bullock and straight cheeks, you know? And that's a lot. So I am a little bit concerned that in every Channing Tatum movie I've seen recently, he's gotten increasingly more nude. So I think, out of safety, I should just avoid the next Channing Tatum film. Like, just as a curse to me, the movie's gonna start with him just like... Anyways, though, go watch The Lost City. It's fantastic. And it's also got straight cheeks. Morbius! Michael frickin' Morbius! Michael frickin' Morbius! I don't care if my audio's peaking, you need to know about Michael Morbius. I am this close to morbing right now, guys. It's Morbin time, baby! Woo! Hey everyone, it's Morbin time! Now all of my neighbors can morb. You know what, this is actually why me and my girlfriend broke up. She couldn't handle that I was morbing. She just couldn't grasp the lifestyle of morb. Yeah, if you can't tell, I love Morbius memes. I know they've gained a lot of traction recently, but I was a fan of them back when the movie came out. But now it's had like this second revival of memes, and I gotta say, I love it. Like, look at that one. Like, look at that. Look at that one. Look at that one. Look at that one. Look at this one. Look at that one. Look at this one. Look at all of the Morbius memes. They're so funny. Don't tell anyone, but I actually couldn't see any of the memes I just put up on screen because I haven't edited the video yet. So that laugh was actually fake. Like, yeah, honestly, the best thing that came out of this movie wasn't even something that was in the movie. It's just the memes. And also the horrible fake pirated videos of Morbius saying it's Morbin time. I love those memes because I know that there's gotta be genuine people out there who haven't seen Morbius, which first off is a sin. That is a sin. You're going to hell for that. But it's just funny because they might actually think that he says it's Morbin time in the movie. And I love that. Honestly, the movie isn't like a dumpster fire for me. It's just kind of mediocre. And I'm sure that Marvel is a little bit embarrassed that they kept on slapping Marvel Legend over everything. But trust me, Morbius, he's a legend. Michael Morbius, that is. I think the biggest problem with this film is that it feels like it was just edited to the bone. Like, there is no room for anything. So I'm honestly hoping one day we get to see the Morb cut, which is like the 6-hour version of this film, where maybe it makes a little more sense and it's not so condensed. But until that day, this movie is still a masterpiece and up there with The Godfather. Sonic 2 was a little bit of a weird one for me. I actually thought I was gonna like this film a lot more. No joke, love the first Sonic. I think it was such a surprise. It had no right to be as heartfelt and charming and funny as it was, and it was good. And then Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I don't know, I just didn't feel as much for it. And there were a lot of things that just felt unnecessary. Like, a lot of people said that the Western bar fight in the first Sonic was unnecessary. If you thought that was unnecessary, you obviously haven't seen the Bruno Mars dance scene in Sonic 2. Yeah, that's a real thing. I don't know why, but it is. Some things I do love, though, are the big final fight and spectacle. I thought that was really well done. There's not much action other than that, though. And on top of that, what I loved most was Idris Elba as Knuckles. I had no idea that he was going to be as great as he was. I kind of thought he was going to kind of phone it in. And then he was, like, the standout. Like, his delivery and his jokes were just so well, like, handled and delivered with just perfect timing, just made his character such a standout. And also, this film may very well be Jim Carrey's last movie, so I do kind of love the fact that in Jim Carrey's last movie, he becomes like this all-powerful god with a giant robot of himself and green electricity. Like, if that's your final role, it's a pretty good one to go out on. And even his death scene is kind of the perfect last shot of him ever, where he's just like, goodbye. Oh wow, my camera cut off. My camera cut off. Because get this, the attic is so hot that my camera overheated. So it needs time to cool. That's fine. I'm really glad that happened. This is what low-budget filmmaking looks like. movie is basically just a massive meta take on the animation industry, and I love that because I happen to really love meta movies that talk about Hollywood. The thing that makes this movie kind of shady to me, though, is that they pull a lot of things from a lot of other studios, and I'm not sure about the legality of it. Like, if there was like 1,000 lawsuits filed at Disney right now because of the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers movie, I would believe it. Apparently in the credits, they even give special thanks to the lawyers of this film. So they must have a very stressful job. You know what? Okay, spoilers. Ugly Sonic appears. Yes, the old Sonic appears. Yes, I'm like 2 weeks late on this, but freaking Sonic appears. Yeah, the gross one with like the human teeth. This movie is so creative though, from all of the different animation styles, the 2D, the 3D, the puppets, the claymation. As John Boyega would say, why did they Disney Plus this? Okay, this is creativity that deserves to be seen in a theater, in my opinion.
You ain't gonna Disney Plus me.
It's also directed and stars the people from the Lonely Island band, and I love the Lonely Island, so that was awesome. They really just have this creative directing and comedic style that really works for me. And as much as I love this movie, though, my favorite of their movie is still Hot Rod. Hot Rod is so underrated. Please watch it. It's so funny. But this movie just has so many surprises. It's clever. It's heartfelt. It's funny. And I just love the meta nature of it. So if you have not seen this movie, I really do think you'd enjoy it. Now let's talk about Doctor Strange 2. Too Strange, Too Furious. This is, of course, a Sam Raimi directed Marvel film. So most of my excitement for this film came from Sam Raimi making a Marvel film. And anytime this movie feels Sam Raimi, that's when I feel like this movie is at its high point. When it has weird early 2000s transitions, that's when the movie's good. When Wanda is limping down a tunnel covered in blood, murdering superheroes, that's when it's good. When Doctor Strange comes back as a freaking zombie, that's when the movie is at its high point. So basically, anytime I really felt that Sam Raimi was at the wheel, that's when the movie was shining. And I know a lot of people are calling this movie the multiverse of midness because they wanted more cameos and more wackiness. And I do agree, there could have been some more madness to this film, but on its own, I think it is actually a pretty special movie. And I do think I still prefer the first Doctor Strange, but I am glad that this weird movie exists. And it's just cool to me because I honestly didn't ever think I'd see a Marvel movie where Doctor Strange came back as a zombie and controlled demons. And then Scarlet Witch murdered Jim? I didn't think I'd see any of that. But hey, we got it. Another great standout in this movie is the Scarlet Witch. I think she has been developed to be a great villain. And I feel like this is the movie where she just really gets to shine as the villain. And she is crazy. In the end, while Doctor Strange 2 wasn't the most ambitious multiverse film or anything, I still thought it was a lot of fun, and I really hope Sam Raimi directs more movies because he's good at it. Next film. I saw the 21 Pilots cinema experience. I grabbed Caleb and Tyler and didn't tell them what we were going to see, and I took them to go see this because I knew they wouldn't agree to it if I had told them we were going to see the 21 Pilots cinema experience. The sound design especially was just incredible. Hearing all of their music over these epic booming theater speakers, I guess that's what they're coming from, probably. It was awesome, okay? I will say I never caught myself actually singing out loud, but there was a few points where I was definitely going, I need to prove to myself that I do actually know the words. I'm gonna do the rap from Heavy Dirty Soul, okay? Okay? Let me do it how he does it. He jumps up into a burning car and starts rapping. Oh. There's an infestation of a man's imagination, hoping to choke it. This is not rap. No, frick, let's do it again. There's an infestation of a man's imagination, hoping to choke it. So this is not rap, this is not hip-hop. Just another attempt to get the news stop. Just trying to say something. So what's the only one who rests to say nothing? This doesn't. The middle of the dream is kind of clean. Yeah, gangsters don't cry. Yeah, but you didn't know I could rap. I'm gangster. Yeah, if you don't know, 21 Pilots is my favorite band. I have a hoodie of theirs. I would put it on, but this attic is so ridiculously hot. I feel like if I did that, I might actually pass out. 21 Pilots is always so hidden about their lore, but this is a great chance to actually, show off some things in a theater. So I wish there was more cutaways and more revealing bits, and it wasn't just always so under the surface. I do want to understand things. So I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity. And also the biggest problem with this is the behind the scenes stuff. It dragged. Anytime they cut to the behind the scenes stuff, the movie just came to a screeching halt. Especially the first time they did it, I swear. the behind the scenes went on for like 20 minutes, and I was just like, please, get back to the music. Get back to the... The second time they did it, though, and started talking about the band's past, that was fine. But the first time they did it... But all of the performances of the songs that obviously I really enjoy, I thought were terrific and just super well done. As I've said before, 21 Pilots is my favorite band, and so us three being there, we might have been the only ones that weren't teen girls, but trust me, I don't know about them too, but I had fun. I know there's been a lot of hate to 21 Pilots ever since Scaled and Icy because a lot of people really just did not connect with that album, but I will forever be grateful for that album because it is the one that made me discover them. So you know what? It holds a special place in my heart, and I think it's still a pretty good album. So obviously, this experience was something that I really did enjoy. I guess if you're a big fan of the band, I would see it. However, it has already left theaters, so you will never see it, sorry. Oh baby, it's time to talk about the biggest movie of the year, Good Morning with a U, directed by Machine Gun Kelly. I'm not kidding, lol. Yeah, you can bet I'm gonna make a video about this movie soon. Just you wait. This movie is like a super bizarre stoner comedy, except it takes this really bold approach as a comedy, because typically comedies are supposed to be funny, and this does something really bold where it decides to not be funny. It was a very interesting stylistic choice. I can't say that like every joke is bad, because there are definitely some pretty funny parts, but the comedy did not connect with me at all. In fact, there were a lot more jokes that made me go ha 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 funny stuff. And a lot of the writing of this movie and structure is just so weird, and it's just so rough. Like, I can't believe they looked at the screenplay for this film and they're like, yeah, this is Final Draft. Maybe they use Celtex instead of Final Draft. Get it? That's a screenwriting joke. You know what? Maybe I have no place to critique comedy. But this movie is just so weird and bizarre, and the movie ends so abruptly, and all of the conflicts just kind of fix themselves with no resolution. And there's just so many, like, celebrity cameos to, I guess, try to get you to have fun, but some of them just came across a little more awkward than cool. This movie's like the No Way Home of like the MGK verse. It's just all of MGK's friends like Pete Davidson and Avril Lavigne. The MGK verse is finally coming together. But yeah, I guess the cameos are cool, except for Drake. They have Drake in there, but trust me, it's not the real Drake. I don't think they could actually get the Drake in there. He's too busy doing something with hot sauce, I guess. Because the Drake they got in there, trust me, I know that ain't Drake. Jeez, it is really getting hot up here. In these lights, you can probably see the sweat just dripping down my forehead. But now let's get to the couple movies that I watched. They didn't come out this year, and they're just other movies that I watched for the first time. Let's talk about it. That's right. I'm aggressively snapping. You know what film we're going to talk about. So I watched the new recent interpretation of West Side Story, and I feel like if you're ever going to reboot a classic story and you need to ensure quality, that it's going to live up, Steven Spielberg is a great choice, because this movie is just really good. I just really love the cinematography and filmmaking and choreography of this movie. It's really impressive to watch, and some of the emotional moments hit me pretty hard. A lot of directors, as they get older, tend to kind of lose their way and lose their spark that made them interesting. But I think Spielberg, as being the greatest director of all time, just continues to carry on his success and making great films. And especially great-looking films like this one. So yeah, overall, the new West Side Story did not disappoint, and it was definitely a worthy remake. Now this movie, I'm gonna assume most of you haven't heard about. It's the superhero movie. It's a movie that was made as a parody of superhero movies all the way back in 2007. And let me just say, this movie has aged terrifically. Like, it is aged almost perfectly. Except for Drake Bell. That didn't age so well. This movie is genuinely so funny, but no one talks about it. And I think this movie deserves way more recognition than it gets. And in fact, I really do believe this movie was way ahead of its time. It's like this movie was making parody of the superhero genre before we even got the major superhero genre we got starting in 2008 with Iron Man. But this came out in 2007. This movie was literally parodying something before it even came out. That's how ahead of its time it was. And honestly, I would totally love for a movie like this to maybe not have a remake, but a new kind of telling, because there's so much more you could even do with this superhero parody. And I feel like we're not getting enough parodies of the superhero genre. And maybe it's because this movie is so darn good that they know they can't top it. Even though it has like a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like mostly hated. But seriously, check out the superhero movie. It's so good. Put down your top 10 funniest Johnny Depp court moments and watch the superhero movie instead. That's gonna be an outdated joke. Whatever. Next up is a film that is actually kind of special to me, and that is No Time to Die. Okay, back a couple years ago, I binged all 4 Daniel Craig James Bond movies with my grandma. But these movies kind of became special to me because it was something that me and my grandma would watch and always loved. And even when there were some that were better or worse than others, I still found myself enjoying it because it was something that I could do with my grandma. Of course, now that I think about it though, I think she only watched them because she had a crush on Daniel Craig. But that's beside the point. And of course, I really love Daniel Craig in Knives Out. Unfortunately, in this film, he doesn't have that southern drawl. But the film, he's still pretty good in the movie. And this might come as a surprise, because there are some divisive opinions on this movie. But let me just say, No Time to Die is actually easily my favorite of all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. I loved the action, I loved the story, and I thought the character work with Bond and his romantic interest was great. Bond and his kid, that was such a nice surprise. And despite the movie being called No Time to Die, the movie is like 3 hours long, and yeah, so he definitely had time to die. But even though this movie was, I think, the longest Bond movie, it flew by. So No Time to Die is my favorite James Bond movie, and I'm so glad that I got to watch it with my grandma. And I'm so glad that we completed the Daniel Craig James Bond era together. It was a lot of fun, and it's a memory that I won't soon forget.
Even if he didn't have that southern drawl.
Book of Eli is a 2010 Christian Mad Max, basically. That's pretty brutal. But man, the action in this movie is just top notch. They have a lot of action scenes are filmed in this way where he is in the middle fighting these guys and the camera's on a track spinning around, and it is just beautiful. There's another fight that's entirely done in like a silhouette. Just the action is just a step above in this movie. And Denzel Washington, as always, turns in a great performance. And also Mila Kunis, who I really didn't think would fit into this gritty movie. This is actually pretty good. I will say one thing that I don't know if I really loved was the color grading. It's extremely like pale, and like the colors are very drained out, so it has this like bright white. I get that they're trying to go for the apocalypse, you know, after the rapture, but I'm just not sure if I completely love that color grading. It just kind of made the entire movie look overexposed. And trust me, I would know all about that. I used to film every video overexposed. But I think this movie continuously just got better and better as it went. And it ends on an extremely satisfying note that I really enjoyed. The last movie up on this list is Fire. Now, I know I'm kind of late to the party on this one. The whole Fire Festival craze is kind of an old thing to talk about now, but I actually never understood what was going on when everyone was talking about the documentaries and the craziness that was happening on this island. So I finally checked out the Fire documentary, the Netflix one, mainly because I was just as curious as George to figure out what was going on. What is the Fire Festival, and why did it go so wrong? Now, I really don't want to spoil a lot of the stuff that actually took place on this island, because to be honest, I don't think the film really explored the chaos and craziness on this island as much as they could have, and that's like the most interesting part of this. They spend a lot of time on the before it happened, and a little bit of time after. I wish there was more in the middle, but I know there is another documentary on it on Hulu, I believe, and so maybe I'll check that one out. Maybe it gives more information about that. Let me know. And my camera just overheated again, so that's a lot of fun. So I guess I'm going to talk about the rest of Fire Festival right here. So the funniest thing about this movie was the memes. They started showing the outsider's perspective, and I don't know why, but the Fire Festival memes just made me laugh so hard. But anyways, that was the Fire Festival. It's kind of nice that I finally understand all of the memes, and I understand what the Fire Festival disaster was. Yeah, let me go put my camera in the fridge again. The struggles of a YouTuber. Well, we meet again. Just your typical procedure. Just a guy putting his camera in the fridge. Just a typical procedure. There is nothing weird about this. Okay, my camera has once again been refridged, so now we are back to talk about the final section, TV shows. Let's jump into the first one, Moon Knight. I personally think that Moon Knight is one of the best things that Marvel has done in its entirety of Phase 4. Other than the She-Hulk trailer. That is a whole nother work of art. Before I get into the bad, let's first talk about the good. Best thing about the show, hands down, Oscar Isaac's performance as Stephen Grant and Mark Spector is just amazing. And the way the show is shot and the way it visualizes him talking to his other self in reflections is just awesome. On top of that, anytime there is an action scene, even though there's not many of them, it is absolutely awesome. And another great thing about the show is the costumes. I actually can't decide which costume I like more. So I think the acting and the visuals and the creativity is some of the best we've ever seen from Marvel. I gotta say, my favorite episode of this season was episode 5. I thought the way them bouncing around this insane asylum, looking back at their past and the tragedy of abuse and giving us all the answers about the series, I just found this episode super impactful. I thought it was emotional. I thought it was good. And it didn't even really need much action to sell it because it was just kind of profound. Now, I would be lying if I said that I didn't think the finale was a bit rushed, but I just cannot praise the ingenuity of this show and how creative it feels for Phase 4. And it's just exciting that this feels so Bee! The bee is back. I'm not kidding. I know you guys can't see him, but he just flew into the other room. Okay, he's hovering around the light over there. So he shouldn't come back in here. We're probably fine. But it really does feel like its own thing. And I think that really helps it feel special. But now, the most frustrating thing about this show is that it's only one season. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, why is that bad? Aren't you okay with stories ending? Not everything has to go on forever. I get that. But the way this show is written, it is written for more than one season. And then Oscar Isaac only signed like one contract, and he's like, yeah, we have no plans for season 2. We don't know where to take this character. Like, there's no plans. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm not just saying the show needs a season 2 because I enjoyed the show. That's not what I'm saying. This series has a big post-credit scene that teases so much of what could come in a season 2. And the finale is so short, it feels like it wraps it all up in a tiny bow. And there is just so much left unexplored that we need to explore. So the fact that the writers and Oscar Isaac are like, oh yeah, we don't really think we need a season 2. Then why did you tease it? And you even cut out the final fight to tease a season 2. And I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people hated that. I thought that was a really nice creative choice. If there's a season 2 and we explore it more. So to be honest, I am just frustrated at the fact that the writers and Oscar Isaac act like there's nowhere to go for a season 2. And then they kind of piss off the entire internet when they tease all of this stuff for season 2. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't have any plans for it though. That is insanely frustrating. So if this really does become a one-season show and there's no more Moon Knight, I will be very mad at this show because there is so much you could do with him. But I guess this is what happens when you get Disney Plus. I guess Oscar Isaac really did need that new house. So like I said, if we get more Moon Knight, okay, then I will be fine with this season. If we don't, I will be forever pissed. Yeah, over the past 3 months, I have watched so much Impractical Jokers. This show is just consistently hilarious. I think some of my favorite punishments are Joe as the genie or Joe when he had to fall through the tables. Comedy gold. And my favorite of all of their games are when they're all 4 in the same room and have to try to make each other laugh. That is just some great chemistry that I feel like they don't do that game enough. But the main reason I really did want to bring up Impractical Jokers is because I watched the new episode that doesn't have Joe in it. If you don't know, Joe has left the show for the new season. But I still held out hope. In fact, even though Joe is probably my favorite of the group, I was still like, the show can work without him. It's gonna suck to not have him there, but I think the show can continue. And I gotta be honest, when I watched that first episode without him, it felt like that magic was lost. I think some of their ideas for the games just weren't that exciting either. It felt like it lost magic without Joe. I mean, you need Joe. He's a freaking weirdo, but you need him.
Weirdo. I can't pee. Get away. Stop. No! Joe! Stop peeing!
See? That's what magic looks like. A friend kissing another friend at a urinal, that's magic. And you lost that magic when he left the show. Now look, the show still has 9 seasons of Joe, okay? And I've honestly already seen all the episodes over the years, and I still went on this massive rewatch, and every episode was still amazing. However, I just really hope that the show does kind of find its footing without Joe, because I will admit that first episode kind of felt like a trip. Like a bad trip, because it had Eric Andre in it. He's from a movie called Bad Trip. Never mind. But hopefully the season picks up steam, and I really hope that they do find their footing, and I believe they can. So, I guess we'll see what happens with Impractical Jokers. The final TV show that I have been watching so much of for the last 3 months is The Office. It's a little underrated show. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of it before. Yeah, I know, I'm joining the bandwagon. I'm a big Office fan now, but it is true. I have fallen in love with The Office. I have never watched it before. Here's the story. I watched the first 2 seasons on Netflix, and then it left Netflix. So I was just left with Jim and Pam. They had a kiss, and I was like, what's gonna happen? Guess I'll never know. So then I just went months without watching the show, and then I got Peacock, and I was like, wait a minute, The Office is on Peacock. I should watch The Office again. And I just fell in love with the show. This show is absolutely fantastic. And I know, that's really oversaid. I know. But it doesn't change the fact that this show is fantastic. The thing that I really don't think I hear enough people talking about is, like, obviously the show is hilarious, so many quotable bits, it's funny. But the thing that really drives the show home for me is the serious and emotional moments as well. I think some of those serious moments, especially Steve Carell's incredible acting in some scenes. I don't know if it's just because of the mockumentary style of which it's filmed or just the characters, but you feel emotions for these characters, and that's where it becomes something that's more than funny. And Michael Scott, he is the absolute best and worst thing ever. He's like one of my favorite characters in any TV show or movie before, and Steve Carell just expertly plays him. It's incredible, and I see why so many people have fallen in love with this character. And that's the other thing that's great about this show. All the characters feel so lived in. They feel like real people. And it's like, sometimes a character will say something that I don't even think it's funny, but I will laugh because it feels like something that character would say. Also, I should mention, I've watched season 3 through 6. That is where I'm at right now. There have been so many times when I've actually had to pause the episode and get up and like walk around. It'll just like cover my eyes. I just can't handle it sometimes. This show makes me feel things. Like when Michael proposes to that girl in season 3, I mean, I couldn't watch. In episodes like Scott's Tots, I literally couldn't watch. And the whole arc where Michael Scott moves out and starts his own paper company, and they're having that deal, and you don't know if Michael is going to screw it all up. I was on the edge of my seat. And when Jim accidentally reveals that Pam is pregnant and Michael comes in and makes it so much worse, these moments, I genuinely found so hard to watch. It made me uncomfortable. And that shows that the writing, acting, and direction was just expert level. It's so funny me ranting about how good The Office is. Like, there's no way I'm saying things that haven't already been said. But, like, it's just incredible how the show is so often bold and big in its jokes. It's very loud. But the subtle moments are just as good. Like, there's a moment in season 3, I believe, maybe 4, I don't know. They all kind of blend together. But, like, Dwight says something like when Angela moves out, and he's like, hey, yeah, I looked for that wooden horse of yours. Guess it's gone. Couldn't find it. Then when Jim stays at Dwight's house, there's just a quick, brief shot of him looking at the horse, revealing that he kept it because he still feels something. It's the subtle moments like that that you might even miss, but they hit you. I will say, though, some of the conflicts feel very stretched. Like, they could be solved in a couple episodes, but they go, like, season long. But then again, these seasons are extremely long, so I kind of understand why you have to stretch them out. And, of course, there's also a lot of romances that I actually enjoy. Like, Michael and all of his chaotic love life, super entertaining. Jim and Pam have they have great chemistry together, and they have an interesting story, and it's cool to see their marriage and life evolve over these seasons. And of course, the standout character to me that no one talks about is Creed. I love Creed. I think he is one of the funniest characters in the show. I don't think he's utilized enough. He probably works better as just a background character with one-liners every now and then, but I love Creed. Anyways, though, that is all of the things I have watched over the past 3 months. I'll be honest, these past 3 months have been some of the most chaotic of my entire life, especially recently. Still trying to figure out life, and what I'm going to do about YouTube. I'm just letting y'all know. I don't know what my YouTube holds for the future. I might quit. Probably shouldn't have said that. I probably won't. I don't think I'll ever quit YouTube. But I don't know if my time would be more valuable spent on other things. Ever since, I shouldn't say this on YouTube, but ever since like the breakup and a few other things that have happened in my life, I've been very introspective, trying to figure out what is my purpose, what am I trying to do, you know, and it's given me a lot of time to think and trying to process what I want to do, and I don't know yet. I don't know what my future holds, but I hope whatever it holds, maybe some of you guys will stick around to follow me through. Even in these long, boring videos, maybe some of you will even watch to the end. Who knows? Maybe you just put it on while you're doing other things, and it's a nice background noise, and I wouldn't mind. If that's all I'm good for, that's pretty fine. I'm still happy doing that. Still get watch time. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.